Hey everyone, I'm Catherine Greenberg. I'm so glad to be here and I'm so glad you are as well. I want to talk to you today about the B word. And the B word is boundaries. Boundaries can be a big challenge, but they're also an incredible way to build respect and honor yourself. So that being said, as someone who is an empath and an HSP, it can often feel really foreign to put ourselves first before others. So when people are like, oh, you're so nice. And I want to be like, no, I'm actually not nice. I'm just a people pleaser. I'm kind, but there's a difference. So how do you say no? Well, one, no is a full sentence and a completely legitimate word, but it's not that simple. And I am very much about the mind, body, spirit connection. So a lot of this revolves around how you feel. And what I mean by that is if someone says, oh, well, just yes or no, do you want to do this? For some people that may work, but typically for people who are neurodivergent or who are highly sensitive, we have to feel that. We have to feel whether it's a yes or feel whether it's a no. And we have to really work on that relationship with our gut because it often doesn't come naturally because our gut has just been exposed to all kinds of shit and it's got its own nervous system. So you have to build your relationship with your gut like you would with anybody else. So after you've sort of figured out the feeling the yes or feeling the no, a good sort of test on whether you feel that no is to check whether you feel resentment. If you feel resentment, I will wave that red flag for you because that's gonna let you know that the situation is imbalanced. So I live in Florida, and when the water has bacteria or there's some reason you can't be swimming that day, the lifeguard will put a red flag on the beach. And I'm like, dude, there's my life on the beach. It's waving in the wind. And so think of a red flag. I'm very visual, so that's helpful for me to actually picture that. But I know that when I feel resentment about something or I feel resentful towards someone, something's off. Let's break it down a little bit further. So there are steps you can take. I love lists. I love sticky notes. I love pads. I love reporters' notebooks. I have lists of lists. Sometimes I'll write something down on a list that I've already done just so I can cross it off. So in this case, you want to try and share some of the junk that's in your head with the paper. Let the paper hold it. If you want to do it on your phone or on a computer, that's absolutely great too. I'm not as much of an eco warrior as I would like to be, but I work with what I have. So write a list of every single thing, everything that you're feeling resentful about, whether that's work or relationships or your social engagements or picking up the kids or the activities of daily living around the house. It's the laundry, it's your partner, it's your dog, it's whatever it is, it's okay. And no one needs to see it. This is just for you. All of it goes down on paper, on your phone, in a computer, in the sand, on a chalkboard, whatever works for you. And when you've done that, take a moment and try and really think and feel about where you need the no in this list. And that's when you're going to practice sort of renegotiating the commitments you already have in place. If you look at that list and you just think, oh my gosh, there's no way. So when someone tells me, they want to work out or they want to do something, but they don't have time for it, I don't really accept that answer because we tend to make time for the things that we value and we prioritize those things. So you're going to have to sort of figure out your priorities versus your demands. And not everyone's going to be super happy with this change. Not everybody's going to respond with love and stars and flowers and puppies. That's okay. That's okay. It may not feel okay, but it is. If people stop loving you because you set a boundary, those are not your people and they're not meant for you, and that's okay. This is a daily practice, and sticking with boundaries, what it does, it sort of gives rise to respect. And we seem to have lost some of the ways we treat other people with respect, and I want to get back to that. Here are some examples in real time. Someone says to you, hey, is there any chance you can watch my dog this weekend? And in your head, you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? How am I possibly going to walk their dog? How am I going to watch their dog? Their dog can't stay. I've got 6 dogs and I've got 12 kids and I've got a partner and I've got laundry and I've got, oh my God, are you serious? All she does is ask me for stuff. But what comes out is, oh my God, absolutely, no problem. Because there's that pathological need, that yearning to be loved, to be accepted, to be connected, to be liked. But after you say that and you feel resentment, that's when the shit hits the fan. You don't need to agree in the moment. If someone asks you for something, you know what? Let me check and I'll get back to you. And then do get back to them because you want to do what you say you're going to do. Give them a time. I'll get back to you later this afternoon. I'll get back to you tomorrow. I'll get back to you by the end of the week. But what that does, it gives you a little space from the person who is asking the request. Do you have time? Do you have time to do this? Do you want to make the time to do this? Does it serve who you are? Does it serve your greater purpose in the universe? Does it add value to your life? Is it beneficial? Does it bring you joy? And is that how you want to be spending this 86,000 seconds we have every day, or however many? I think there's a few more, but you get my drift. And after you sort of process this and marinated on this or prayed through it or however you work through that, that's when you can respond. So answer some or all or one of those questions. And really, does this add value to my life? Then, I would love to, I just can't right now. We tend to be over-explainers. We give a lot of information. Oh my God, I can't, I'm so sorry, but I have this and I have this and I'm going this and I'm doing this. And sometimes we just make it up. It's like, well, I'm actually going to write a prescription from my doctor so I can give it to her and prove to her that I can't do it. Here, look, here's tangible evidence that I can't do it. I'm busy. See, I'm not lying about it. I'm really telling you the truth. Fewer words is fine. I would love to help you, but I can't right now. And you don't need to apologize for protecting your time. Thank them for asking you. You're honored, which I'm sure you are. Thank you so much for asking. I can't right now. I don't have any availability right now. I'm overbooked right now. Or thank you for asking. No. Okay. No, thank you so much for asking. I love that you asked me. Fuck off. That's also a clear, very succinct answer. I don't necessarily recommend it, but it's an option. But part of what happens especially when we've experienced trauma, we tend to make ourselves overly available. And this is why they invented voicemail and do not disturb and the focus settings and turning your notifications off and all of that. We have that urge and that push to feel connected, and that's natural. We are born to connect. We are absolutely human by wanting to connect. But somewhere along the way, we've forgotten to connect with the person who's most important, which is ourselves. So we prioritize everybody else, but we forget to take custody of us. And so give yourself 24 hours. I was in treatment 6 times, and every time I was there and I wanted to leave and I wanted to run because I just thought I cannot do this life anymore, someone there would say, hey, wait with me for 24 hours before you make a decision. Let's revisit this in 24 hours. And that 24 hours was like a magic question. Wait 24 hours before giving that person a response. The exception to that is, you know for a fact that it's a yes. You feel that yes. It's completely energy-giving and life-giving for you, and that's a yes, and that's okay. But the idea is to also sort of lower the expectations of others because we've built them up, and they're going to feel let down, or you're going to worry that they're going to feel let down, or they're going to be mad at you and they're not going to like you and they're not going to talk to you. And the next thing you know, you're going to be homeless on the street. And we've gone from 1 to 20 in 2 seconds. What I think is, oh my gosh, if I don't say yes, I might think that I'm rude or I'm selfish or I don't do things for other people or I don't care about other people. And somewhere along the way, being selfish has gotten distorted. There's a difference between selfish putting your needs first and selfish only thinking about yourself all the time. There's a difference. And if you try to set a boundary and you feel like that's not meant for you, it's probably not going to work very well. And that's okay too. This is about getting to know yourself and figuring out what works for you, especially when most of your life has been about what you think works for everybody else. because sometimes that's more convenient. Boundaries are not about closing off who we are. It's not about not helping anybody else, and it's not about building a wall to keep people out. Because if that were true, why would we ever want to set them? They're not hard stops. They're not a solid fence between you and anybody else, right? You have a fence likely in your yard with your neighbors, and you can usually see over it or see through it. And that's a gentle boundary that shows where you end and they begin. So what happens with a boundary and why it can be so powerful is it gives you the space and you the clarity and you the respect, and it allows others to understand what you're actually capable of holding, and you as well. And so your goal is to be your most fullest, glorious, magnificentest, beautifulest self that ever was created. And not only that, you feel safe to do that. Because if you've experienced trauma, you may find yourself looking for safe spaces. And you're not going to find them externally until you feel them within yourself. And this is a very powerful way to do that. This is a daily practice. This is like learning a new language. This is something you want to try and implement when you don't need it, so that when you feel cornered and someone asks you something and you say yes without thinking about it, it's going to be there when you do need it. So we don't want to let others down, right? For the most part, humans are kind and amazing and generous. But when you say yes to someone who you feel has been a boundary crosser in the past, that's when you begin to feel sort of disengaged and frustrated and annoyed and possibly angry or even rageful, that bitterness and resentment that comes up. And so that's where you have to make a choice. Where do you want to represent yourself? What does that look like for you? How are you expressing you? There's only one of you. Well, thank God there's only one of me, because the world would be really loud and really crazy if there were more than one of me. But boundaries are not a shield. They're not meant to keep somebody out. In fact, the opposite. But what is so important is that you understand that unless you show up fully for yourself, you really can't be there for anyone else. If you've flown in an airplane, what have you heard the flight attendant say? You have to put your own oxygen mask on first before you help anybody else. Because if you can't breathe, you can't help anybody else do that. And so what feels like a way to keep other people out is in fact a way to connect with them. Because you'll find your relationship gets stronger and there's mutual respect within that. And that's what you're going to do by learning where that line is. There's always a line for you. And the line is going to move. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's a case-by-case situation that you have to figure out. And the more you fall in love with yourself, the more you get to know yourself, honestly, the less you're going to give a poop what anybody else thinks. But you're going to learn where your line in the sand is, and you're going to know when you've crossed it, and you're definitely going to know when somebody else has. And that's a choice we make. You have a lot of needs. You have emotional needs and physical needs and spiritual needs and supportive needs and sleep needs and energy needs and all these needs, and you need all kinds of rest. There's 7 kinds of rest. And so what boundaries do, they honor your needs, which may feel foreign. And when you take time away from your own needs and you make space for others, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's just being a martyr. When you set a boundary, what you're doing is standing up for you. You're saying, hey, who am I authentically? What does that mean? What have I chosen to do with this life that we have? And it's going to remind you that what anybody thinks of you is really none of your business anyway. And what other people are going through, it's about them. So if people are frustrated or angry or pissed that you said no, That's about them. You're not responsible for how anybody else receives you, how anybody else perceives you, and what they say or what they do. You're only responsible for you. And so I encourage you to practice setting boundaries and learn how to connect with you so you can authentically connect with all of your other people. I am Catherine Greenberg, and it's such a privilege to be here with you. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I am a certified life coach living in Florida. I specialize in addiction and trauma. Everything I do is based on mindfulness, or the idea that you're not going to change some of the stuff that life hands you, but it's absolutely within your power to change how you respond to it. I get that's easier said than done, and theory is different from practice. But if you do engage in a daily practice, it will be there when you need it, and you will learn how to live fully in this moment, because that's it. That's all we have. This moment, this breath, and everything in the universe is just the next step. So you are exactly where you're meant to be right now. It may not feel that way, but I promise you, this is exactly where you're meant to be. And we need you here. We need you here today. We need you here tomorrow. We need you here for the rest of this life, whatever that looks like. If you are feeling alone, please reach out for help. There is a new crisis hotline number. It's 988. 988. Pick up the phone. Reach out. Someone is there to help you. You can text it, whatever feels right for you. And while it is absolutely amazing that 988 is there, I know that suicide prevention is a lot more than that. I know it's stable housing and support and fellowship and engagement and connection and access to medical care and mental health care and insurance. I get that. I really do, but it's a wonderful place to start. And if there's anything I can do, please feel free to find me. I'm on all platforms of social media, and my website is catherinegreenberg.com. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm still alive. And I know that I had to heal so I could go out and help others do the same. And every day when I make that choice to wake up, even on those days when I absolutely don't want to, I do. I do it anyway, because I know that this is my purpose. And I'm always so grateful that I did. You are loved, you are worthy, you are needed.